Hey folks, Duke CT here. What's up, y'all? Anyway, John for the camcorder here. This is gonna be a video response to Pacifist299. First things first, thanks for the plug, man. Really deserved. You really helped me out with these subscribers, and I once again thank my little opinions and such. Touch so many people, man. Thank y'all very much. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, and all that good stuff. Anyway, let me get to the main point of the video. All right, the championship reigns. You illustrated with 3 points: competition, time, and legitimacy, which is something sadly most of the guys don't have. And it all started with this Money in the Bank. It started with Money in the Bank. And it just seems that since that situation started, it just seems like the championship reigns have been slowly but surely just weeded down to the point that, they don't really care anymore. I mean 2009 was actually the worst part. That championship just jumped hands so many daggone times, it wasn't even funny. At the end of 2008, the WWE title switched hands. Let's see. It was a World Heavyweight title that switched hands so many times. Let's see. You had both main belts in the WWE switch hands multiple times in a few months. You had a 1 month reign for Jeff Hardy for the WWE title. You had then it switched hands to Edge. No, I say it switched hands from Triple H to Edge to Jeff Hardy to Edge again to Triple H to Randy Orton, and that's in basically over a 4 or 5 month time reign. Triple H was only a 2 month reign champion because he defeated Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And it looks like the World Heavyweight Championship, that's not really faring much better. You had that botched CM Punk championship reign. You had not only that, but you had Chris Jericho losing to John Cena. Then John Cena losing after 2 or 3 months to Edge, who switched brands, I think. And then Edge losing it back to John Cena. Then Edge winning back at Backlash or Extreme Rules or what have you in 2009. Then you had Edge lose it to Jeff Hardy. Then Jeff Hardy lost it to CM Punk. CM Punk dropped it to Jeff Hardy. And CM Punk got it back. Lost to The Undertaker. And that, honestly, just kept, that sort of thing. 2009 was a horrible year for basically championships, and it just it kept going back and forth. And even worse, the WWE title, it just basically kept going back and forth with the same people. Sure, basically you say, oh yeah, these guys can win about any time, which could be an unexpected environment. But when you have your champions are basically the same people who already won the belt so many times, there's a reason why some people only won the belt once or maybe 3 or 4 times, back in the day. It was because it's not how many times you win, it's how long you have it. That's the most important thing, which I think the WWE is finally realizing. And even a backwater company that is TNA knows that. They rarely even had championship. Even the boring ones lasted pretty a long while. Which is, at least they keep their championships, up there, that sort of thing. In the WWE, you just feel like it's just a prop to carry on a guy. No one really earns their way to being champion. The Miz, he struggled and this, that, and the other. Yeah, that's good and all. But in the aspect of it, it just, it just feels like the championship's gone through so much crap in the past couple of years. People just have this really low standard of the WWE title. I don't even want to talk about the world title at this moment. Because even though Kane did hold the belt, it was probably one of the most lackluster title reigns they had over at SmackDown. Well, it probably wasn't the fault of Kane the Undertaker. Because, I mean, honestly, I think it was a bad idea to have Kane the Undertaker feud for the, 15th time. What's the point of having them? I mean, and I love Kane. I think he's probably one of the most underrated big men of all time. But honestly, why? I mean, 2003 was the best time on Matt Kane should have held the belt. Now it's just, well, it's the same way of Brother Ray and Brother Devon. It doesn't matter how good the promos are, it's the same people wrestling. It's the people who are wrestling at the end of the day. If you can get promo, that's great. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to fight in that ring. And I have to say, those matches, heck, either one with Edge, wasn't really that good. If not, they were borderline terrible. Okay, I know they have their fans, but honestly, they just sucked. Anyway. But yeah, the championships are meaningless. The WWE and World Heavyweight Belt are meaningless because they've been tossed around for so long. In fact, I can venture to say that the most prestigious championships that WWE has are the Intercontinental, the United States title, and the, well, let's really be honest here, the Women's Divas Championship. I mean, they basically had a consistent challenges and actually people out. They might have sucked, but at least had consistent challenges. The Intercontinental title had some great stuff in 09 and 010 with Ziggler, Rey Mysterio, John Morrison, Drew McIntyre, Kofi Kingston, and everything else. And the United States Championship, once it was off with The Miz, I mean, Daniel Bryan just kept winning. I mean, Daniel Bryan's defending that belt every time he's every time, almost every pay-per-view besides the last one. I mean, you know, they have built prestige, and the WWE title doesn't have that, and it's really a shame because you look at the athleticism today in WWE. Some people may argue, and I agree with this point, that the athleticism is better today than it was back in the 80s, or someplace in the 90s, or 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. The athleticism is better today. But now it just seems that the championships have been gone to the point of, well, Randy Orton's a 7-time champ. Cena's like a 9, 10-time champ. Triple H is this, that, the other. And people want to get that Ric Flair, like he told me so many times. To me, it doesn't matter how many times you hold it. It's how long you have it. The reign, the thing you have it with you. That is what momentum and everything else. There's a reason why Edge has 10 title reigns and none of them are memorable. When's the last memorable Edge reign you remember? They're not. They're brief. They're brief reigns because of injuries and everything else. At this point, it just seems like they're trying so hard to get Edge over and not Christian. It's just amazing. Anyway, well, I'm gonna wrap this thing up here. The thing is, people, is this: if the WWE wants to have prestige back into the belts they have to follow the examples of the mid-card belt. Have a champion there, maybe a young, fresh face, which I hopefully doing with The Miz, and have him actually defend the belt in good and exciting matches. Have them fight, because, you know, it might be hard, but have them fight in meaningful matches. Have them be focused a part of the show. Don't let them be background, which is what they did with Sheamus. He was a background champion. I mean, both times he was champion, he wasn't really a main part of the entire thing. He wasn't a main part of no storylines whatsoever. And that's why I hope that's not going to be a problem. You can have other storylines, but don't let The Miz. And that's what troubles me more, is that when they had, because remember, what main evented TLC? It wasn't Miz and Orton. It wasn't the World Heavyweight TLC match. It was John Cena and Wade Barrett, the chairs match. And that's what the problem is right there, prioritizing. And that's the main problem with the WWE has. They have failed to prioritize, unless you're one of their main guys, whether it's Cena or anything else. At this point, it is John Cena. If he doesn't have the belt, everyone else who's there does not exist. And if they don't fix that problem, the WWE title belt will still be meaningless, and we will still be, and people will still look towards prestige and good matches. Will look for in the mid card, like in WCW. We want to put what happened to TNA, which are stupid and backwards, but honestly, WWE is formed more like WCW more and more at time, because when the mid card and the mid card belts are more prestigious than your world title, you done screwed up. Anyway, that's all I have to say. DCT here. Peace, love. I will see y'all when I see y'all later.